Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Roy Evans of the Jericho Broadcast Networks, and I am here with Mr. Darren Reed, who is the Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development. Darren, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Roy. Glad to be here.
All right, well, thanks. So let's start off by telling the folks a little bit about what Stride Professional Development is.
Yeah, absolutely. Stride is the nation's leading provider of online education in the K through 12 space. We were formerly known as K-12 Inc. and are over 2 decades in the space of providing free virtual online education across the nation to students, no matter where they are. We've since changed our name to Stride because we've expanded beyond the K-12 space, though that's still very much what we do as a priority. What we've also done with the Stride Professional Development Center is we've leveraged some of our expertise over the past 2+ decades of supporting schools and students and educators, teachers, principals, and we are trying to innovate, the way professional development happens for educators, and that we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique. All
right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So there, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession. Just based on tenure, they're retiring and moving on, and then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with, increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are, where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you. But we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways, classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So.
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, I love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill, inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington was supposed to be here. I guess maybe he's on assignment. We'll see what we can find out. Hope all is well. With that being said, we have none other than Charles Bishop in the building. We're certainly going to get you your information that you need in terms of the Inside the HBCU episode 473. Welcome to episode 473 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Oh, we're trying to make it. We're trying to fight this little cold off here as we come back from the Celebration Bowl and get some final Christmas shopping done. But doing well, Doc.
Good stuff, good stuff. I understand you fighting that little bug, man. You hang in there. I know how I can get. With that being said, let's get into some HBCU news. I know as we've kind of closed things out from a football perspective, and we'll look at doing some things from a marching sport as well. It means we can turn the page to a little bit of basketball, maybe?
Yeah, we can. Right. Yeah. No
what
doubt.
Do you got for us on the basketball side?
Let's take a look at the Chris Paul HBCU Basketball Challenge as Jackson State. They went unbeaten in the Chris Paul HBCU Challenge. Jackson State men's hoop team, they beat North Carolina A&T 68-60. They win the Chris Paul HBCU Challenge presented by the AEA Foundation. Jordan O'Neal, he had 24 points, 7 rebounds. He led the Tigers 4-7 for a second night with 3 players scoring in double figures. That included Coach Young with 12 points. Ken Evans, he chipped in 10 points with 2 steals. Zeke Cook, he was huge on the boards for Jackson State, 13 of them, as Jackson State out-rebounded the Aggies 40-33 in the game on Sunday. The Tigers also grabbed 19 offensive rebounds and scored 13 second chance points. They forced 16 turnovers by the Aggies, and Jackson State turned those takeaways into 15 points on the offensive end of the floor. So kudos to Jackson State in terms of what they were able to get done at the Chris Paul Challenge.
Man, they get 2 big-time victories. One against a Howard team that many people thought were really good and will be in the MEAC race with all that said, but they had came in and playing some good basketball. And then they get one over A&T, an old rival there. So in terms of anytime you beat up on the Aggies, I imagine Jackson State folks are excited about that. But good basketball and got it done. With that being said, Texas Southern slips by Howard in a tight Chris Paul HBCU Challenge, which was a fascinating game. The Tigers, Texas Southern, used a second-half comeback in which they shot a scorching 60% from the field to edge the Bison of Howard, 79-78, in the Boost Mobile HBCU Challenge finale in Las Vegas on the second day. That's after Texas Southern had dropped the first game, so they found a way to fight back. But they got down 20 points in this matchup, 39-19 on the back end of a pair of Jelani Williams free throws. And again, at 41-21 on as Williams short jumper with 1:58 left in the half. So it was wild when you talk about it. The Texas Southern closed on a nice run in the half on the 9-0 run, to be specifically, aided by 3 Howard turnovers in their last 3 possessions, cutting the lead to 41-30. And he was like, all right, maybe they got a shot. Well, Texas Southern continued to whittle down the lead, narrowing the deficit of the first half since the first half of the opening session, with half on P.J. Henry's jumper to close the gap to 41-32. Kobe's Granger hit a 3-pointer, even the game. Contest at 45 with 16:32 left in the contest. The Tigers took their first lead of the evening, 47-45 on a layup from Jonathan Cease at the 14:39 mark, and it was on because it was a contest after that. Howard tied the game at 50 on a 3 by Hayes, and then reclaimed the lead on a 3-point by Osei. Texas Southern jumped back in front, 61-60 on a Henry jumper. Howard then squared off on the contest at 61 on another shot. This one was a free throw with 6:25 left in the game. Texas Southern responded and went over a 10-0 run. I thought it was over, taking a 71-61 lead with 3:35 remaining in the contest. But then Howard found a way and fought back, got the lead to 79-78 with Seth knocks down a 3 with 14 seconds left, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's a ball game. Bison forced a jump ball turnover on the inbound play, and you was like, ooh, 4 seconds left. It was getting good. Don Campbell's shot attempt was short, as it was pretty much blocked, pretty much on a layup attempt at the board. P.J. Henry led Texas Southern with 26 points on 10 of 18 shooting from the floor, adding 7 assists and 6 rebounds with no turnovers. Jonathan Cease was the only other Tiger in double figures, added 18 points and 4 big time rebounds in that contest. Don Campbell added 13, Osei 11, and Isaiah chipped in 10 points for the Bison. Interesting game there. Tigers go 1-1 in the challenge with that victory, which is a big one. As Howard goes 0-2, A&T went 1-1 in the contest. Fascinating when that went down. As we get on to the other side, I want to talk a little bit more. I'm going to give you a breakdown of MEAC versus SWAC games. You know, we do that obviously with the MEAC SWAC challenge. Oftentimes we look at it as regular season football games, and then we'll really get all excited with the Cricket Celebration Bowl for football that essentially determines the HBCU national champion. By now, unless you're under rock, you know that was won by Florida A&M Rattlers over the Howard Bison, SWAC over the MEAC. But I want to break down a little bit and get you some of this basketball thought. And I also got bonus information for you. I'm looking at all HBCU Division I matchups. So we'll have a breakdown to give you a little bit about what that looks like. But with that, I'm going to go back to you and get some more HBCU news. And then we can get into some real discussion and really break that down and talk and get some
No doubt. So I got one piece of news here, and Roy, let's pull that graphic up real quick. I wanted to make sure we got this piece of HBC news in. I want to say congratulations to Dr. Kenyatta Cavil in terms of being named a HBCU, Light On HBCU Media Lifetime Achievement or Honoree. Want to say appreciate everything that you've done in terms of what you do in this space for HBCU sports. So we definitely wanted to give you your flowers while we're in the midst of doing the show. So very appreciative for everything that you bring to this show and bring to this HBCU diaspora, as you call it.
Man, good one, Charles. I usually, know all what's going on. You say, we want to do this, and the picture came up and everything. I was like, oh, that's a good one. He's been talking to Roy. They set it up real nice. Thanks for us.
Yeah.
All the guys got it done, man. That was nice. I appreciate that.
For sure.
What else you got going on?
Yeah, let's take a look, man. All-Star HBC Legacy Bowl head coaches announced the Black College Football Hall of Fame. They announced the head coaches for the 2024 All-State HBC Legacy Bowl. From the CIAA, the SWAC, and the MEAC and the SIAC will be represented by their championship coaching staffs. Players from the CIAA and the MEAC will make up Team Gaither, and the team is named after legendary Florida A&M football coach Jake Gaither. The head coaches are Larry Scott, representing Howard University, and Alvin Parker, representing Virginia Union University. Players from the SIAC and the SWAC will make up Team Robinson. The team is named after legendary Grambling State football coach Eddie Robinson, and those head coaches are Chennis Berry, representing Benedict College, now South Carolina State University, and Willie Simmons from Florida A&M University. This is a statement. Each of these coaches embody the winning and competitive spirit of the All-State HBCU Legacy Bowl. We are proud to have these great men who are exemplify the spirit, leadership, and tradition of HBCU football, and that comes from none other than NFL quarterback legend and Black College Football Hall of Famer, co-founder James Shaq Harris.
Man, good stuff, good stuff. When you talk about the legacy, how things are moving forward. Let's get in some of this. Gallup receives ECAC recognition from the MEACsports.com. Eastern College Athletic Conference, ECAC, uncovered its 2023 Division I FCS All-ECAC team, and major awards were Howard University senior defensive back Kenneth Gallup Jr., Portsmouth, Virginia. Some people believe he has a shot at the NFL. Earned a spot for the second consecutive year. The announcement came Monday morning. Gallup MEAC Defensive Player of the Year made the All-ECAC defensive team. After a stellar senior season throughout the week, Gallup has received several awards, including All-American honors from Box to Row, FCS Football Central, Phil Steele. Recently, he won the 2023 Aeneas Williams Award, given to the top defensive back in HBCU Division I college football based on performances on the field, athletic ability, and character. In the regular season, the Buck Buchanan Award finalists produced 65 total tackles, 42 solos, as you know, Charles, with 6 tackles for a loss, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 quarterback-tied hurries. In the homecoming victory of Norfolk State, Gallup recorded a season-high 11 total tackles and the game-clinching interception for his efforts. He was named FCS National Defensive Player of the Week. Charles, I know going into that matchup against FAMU, you talked about Gallup being one of the players to watch, Kenny Gallup. What was your assessment in terms of how he matched up in that contest?
You know, I really would. I need to go back and kind of take a look at what he was able to do individually against a couple of matchups. I know toward the latter part of the game, you know, FAMU was able to get Kevin Dean out there on the boundary, and it looked like there was a couple of defensive breakdowns. But from what I saw from Gallup in the early part of that game, he was doing a tremendous job in terms of what they was able to do. They were taking away everything outside of the hash that I thought FAMU wanted to do, but they were able to kind of gash them up the middle with the big tight end, things of that nature. So I thought Gallup did a great job in the game.
Yeah, I like the analysis you did there in terms of seeing what he went into it with that matchup there. Any other HBCU news you want to get in before we take our first break?
No doubt. Let's talk about the ESPN Band of the Year. This is pushing money over exposure from HBCUs, and this is from HBCUGameDay.com, where they talked to John Grant, executive director of the Celebration Bowl, as well as the MEAC Swag Challenge, came to the HBCU Game Day studios, and he talked about the event with Tyler Carr and Steve Gaker, and he said the purpose of the event was to create something that showcased HBCU bands and compensated them properly. So this is a quote from John Grant: changing the mindset was great, but putting economics behind it at the end of the day is going to come down to you don't pay a bill signed with exposure. And if you can get both, we can help facilitate both, then we're getting the best of both worlds, and that is what this event is about. So interestingly enough, Sonia Stamps, who's also on Black College Sports Network, we had a podcast last night where we were talking to a couple of bandsmen about the ESPN Band of the Year, and that'll be coming out this upcoming Friday, where we talked a little bit about what they saw in regards to the Band of the Year competition. But enjoyed it. They're going to make some tweaks to it, and it's only going to get bigger and better from here.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. You know, we talked about we're going to get into a little basketball, but before you know it, baseball is going to find a way to sneak in there. You're always talking about the baseball classics. You got some big ones, MLB baseball classic. Yeah, the Astros with the Cactus Jack putting it out there. But talking about baseball honors, I want to give a shout out to the legendary Marty Miller, former athletic director, baseball coach. He is getting inducted to the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Legendary Norfolk State figure Marty Miller will receive his 11th Hall of Fame induction in February, and this one just might be the most special one yet. Miller will be one of 12 inductees in the 2023 College Baseball Hall of Fame class. The College Foundation announced on Thursday morning. The class is comprised of players, coaches, umpires, administrators, and all who have contributed to college baseball history at the NCAA, NEIA, and NJCAA levels. Ballot eligible coaches must be retired for 2 years to be and or be active and no less than 75 years of age. Quote, each year when the College Baseball Hall of Fame inductees are announced, it creates a tremendous level of pride and appreciation for those that have given so much to the college game. And Craig Ramsey, chair of the College Baseball Foundation Board of Directors, quote, inducting the newest Hall of Fame members and celebrating top performers from the past year will officially close out the achievements of the 2023 season. Then we'll eagerly turn the page to start of the 2024 college baseball season the very next day. Remember last year, Charles, I got to take Deuce to Nebraska, the College Hall of Fame. Boy, that was a heck of a trip. Great time. He enjoyed it. And then on the way back, we went into Kansas City to see the Negro Hall of Fame. So this is fascinating when you talk about this. People don't realize the love that we personally have for baseball. It's kind of one of those secret love affairs we have. Just because everybody doesn't follow his course. But last year, you got a chance to be on the sideline for the SWAC baseball game. Obviously, that's big time. So I wanted to make sure we showed some love to Miller, who spent 32 years as the head coach of Norfolk State's baseball program, amassing 718 wins. He was 718, 543, and 3 ties overall record to become the winningest coach in the CIAA history. He won 15 CIAA Coaches of the Year awards and led the Spartans to 17 conference titles, including a stretch of 8 consecutive championships. Boy, oh boy, you talking about being nice in award. Well, we're talking about awards. Let me get this final word before we do take this first break. Ben L. Cavil, Big Ben HBCU Football Award, the Big Ben Senior Big Ben Award, announced in 2015 by 3C Communications of THE Agency, recognizes a football player attending a historically Black college and university, HBCU. The honorees must either play for an HBCU program in the state of Texas or have been born or played high school football in the state of Texas and continued their career playing for one of the notable HBCU programs. The honorees must also exhibit the enduring characteristics that define Ben L. Cavil Sr.: determination, diligence, integrity, performance, familial, teamwork, fraternal, and community engagement. To persist and excel at a time that was difficult and often unjust for African Americans was tremendous. But to actually flourish at the beginning of the sporting HBCU diaspora and create an HBCU cultural identity that begins the inculcation of the community-based tradition of intercollegiate athletics at HBCUs we enjoy today is historic. Now, more than ever, it is more important to recognize the rich legacy of an era that included the presence of legendary coaches, outstanding student athletes, and hold a unique connection to the African-American cultural heritage. And as so much, we embrace the community-based cultural identity of empowerment, racial pride, cultural expression, Black masculinity, social engagement, and economic development. So I'm excited as we prepare. We will announce in the next month. So I just wanted to tease it out there and get people ready for the Ben L. Cavil Senior HBCU Football Award. As you know, Shedeur Sanders was the first person to win it back-to-back years, consecutive years, as he won it last year and going back the year before that in 2021 as well. Well, he's no longer at HBCU, so we do know he can't win it 3 times in a row, as he was well on his way if he stayed at Jackson, I might add. I'm not sure if he would have been able to do 4. But with that being said, we will have a new winner. We'll see who it is. We'll get you those finalists, and we'll move on for that. With that being said, let's take our first break and come back on the other side.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisine.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has Scalp Shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. So Charles, as we got into it, I wanted to get in a little bit about these poll rankings, if you would. We're going to take a deeper dive on the men's side because they had more games. We will give you an update in terms of the women. So if we can bring up that slide that has the breakdown between men's and women's, and I'll start it out like this. The MEAC had 5 wins overall, 4 losses against HBCU. And so you see they played a total of 9 games. They had 5 wins that are shown there. And of those 5 wins, 2 of them were against the SWAC. Now, on the other side, when you look at the SWAC went 6-3. So both of them had 9 games outside competition against HBCU overall. The SWAC went 6-3, which may surprise some people in terms of what that looks like. And 3-2 versus the MEAC. So they did have a winning record of MEAC. This final weekend, if you would, with the Chris Paul was fascinating. Now, I know a lot of folks would think about the legacy, the QQQ Legacy Classic that Charles and Micah are trying to find a way if we're going to make that trip. We're looking at it, plausible to see what's all the action. You know, we like to do what Texas people do, show up in your state with the license plate, even though we are traveling via air. We do it a little different, but, you know, we put the plate in the license, in the suitcase, if you would. So we travel with. But with that being said, I thought it was just fascinating to get into that. Chivalry's not dead, so let me give you an update. We just had the final matchup with the women, which I had Bethune-Cookman against A&T. A&T got it done. So women, MEAC went 1-1 versus HBCU Division I competition, 0-1 against the SWAC, which means obviously the SWAC went 1-0 against the MEAC, and they also went 1-1 against HBCU Division I Independent. But again, to give you a little more detail in terms of what that looks like, when you talk about the MEAC, they were 5-9 overall, 55%. Obviously, the SWAC was 66, or 55, 56%. The SWAC was 67 against that. But it's fascinating. So I just wanted to kind of get your dialogue and your thoughts in terms of the SWAC, because I'm not sure many people, when they think about it, they tend to think about MEAC as a basketball conference. Certainly not the SWAC, right? But in this case, we had 5 games, and that's a decent sample size in terms of the conference. And kind of what we asked for, this MEAC SWAC basketball challenge, we'd like it to be probably a little more official, because these games were played, most of them were played on neutral sites. Just so you know, because some of them were tournaments. You did have a couple of home games. You went Tennessee going to Alabama A&M. You had Bethune-Cookman going to South Carolina State. You had North Carolina Central going to A&T. And in those cases, all the SWAC schools in those 2 cases won. And in the MEAC school with North Carolina Central over A&T won in terms of that matchup. So that was fascinating, just to give you a particular some of those matchups and what they look like. You had Alabama State defeating North Carolina A&T. Obviously, we just talked about the Chris Paul. Let's reiterate that. You had Jackson State getting 2 wins, one against the MEAC and one against the Independent in that matchup. One obviously against Howard, the other against North Carolina A&T. And Texas Southern went 1-1. They had a loss to A&T, but a win over Howard. I give you all this data, all this nice information, basketball, what that looks like. What are your thoughts in terms of, particularly on the men's side? As I said, on the women's side, not a lot of data, just 2 matchups essentially, only 1 matchup, MEAC SWAC. So obviously, hopefully those commissioners out there considering that, seeing what this looks like. But I think this is another way to drive some interest. I mean, you have the Kentucky-Louisville game going on. You have these big challenges. Jumpman Jordan Brands, you have Phil Knight matchups, and obviously you might not be able to get that kind of detail, but I'm sure there's some intrigue beyond what we see with Chris Paul to figure out some folks that would like to see some HBCU matchups, the MEAC versus the SWAC, and if not, maybe open it up, even if it is. Now, I've talked to a couple of athletic directors. Shout out to Alabama State's AD, VP of Athletics down there, Doc Cavil. Seems like he has some interest. So I'm going to follow up with him and see if we can do some stuff, particularly independently, maybe. But it'd be nice between the SWAC commissioner, MEAC commissioner, to get some done. You see this more on the Division II side. Between the CIAA, SIC. You see particular matchups. On-campus matchups are really nice. You see it in Atlanta. You see it in Charlotte. You see some crossover here and there. But beyond that, if you would, Charles, what are your thoughts, particularly first on the data, SWAC over the MEAC, and overall HBCU records?
It's a little bit surprising. I mean, because I think you touched on it. Normally, when you think of basketball, you immediately gravitate to the MEAC or to the East Coast teams in terms of playing a better brand of basketball. So to see the SWAC, especially going back to the Chris Paul Classic, Jackson State get 2 quality wins against a Howard team that was in the NCAA tournament last year, and a North Carolina A&T team that has normally had great success, or whether you're talking, especially when they were in the MEAC. But for Jackson State to go against both of those, brand name entities and get victories, that jumped out for me. I enjoy seeing these types of matchups. I think there is, a palpable taste watering in HBCU fans' mouths for some of these matchups where you get to see SWAC teams take on teams in the MEAC or of that stature. So I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoyed it. The Chris Paul Classic was one example of it where I really enjoyed watching that basketball being played and watching Texas Southern going against A&T there. But just very interesting to see the styles and in terms of what they were going against in both of those matchups.
Yeah, Delaware State over Grambling to kind of open things up. That was in Atlanta. But as you said, a lot of these games would be fascinating. Imagine your interest, Charles, if you could see these on broadcast television, streaming or not. Exactly. Not many of these games are streamed. I follow this and get into it to kind of push the narrative in a lot of ways. And I do it from GameCast because you watch the games. You might get 2 or 3 of them. I saw a Delaware State matchup where they had a matchup on television in some games of these tournaments. And so you're starting to see these matchups in tournaments with mid-major programs, low-major programs starting to create their own tournaments over the Thanksgiving weekend. So it's fascinating to see that going on. But yeah, if this was broadcast and you have ESPN Plus, you have independent programs like BCSN that has the ability to stream matchups. So there's a lot way to get access out there to streaming these matchups, even if they're at home, whether you're doing it on your own platform or you want to bring in a broadcast to maybe widen the net, to your point. Let me give you one last example where I think taking the next level, because this kind of happened organically, naturally, because of the person involved. But you can create, from a marketing perspective, you can create some of this buzz yourself. Now, obviously, it's going to be difficult to get the buzz you get here, but Alabama State basketball featured Bronny James in Montgomery. Yeah. 7,500. It was a sellout. It was just on ESPN Plus, but the Don Oliver Acadome was packed with tickets sold out, as we see at some of the football games that we announced this past 2 years. Hard sellouts in regards to the interest. Every seat in the building, all 7,500 were sold out. A rarity for the Hornets, men's or women's game, said longtime Alabama State spokesperson Travis Jerome. Shout out to Jerome, end quote. In the 7 years I've been here, there hasn't been a non-conference game here that has been a sellout, end quote. Jerome told HBCU Sports about the magnitude of the game. I think it's about Bronny James and USC coming to town. Has a little bit to do with it because it is a rare that a Power 5 team has visited Montgomery, end quote. The matchup is part of the second year that the Pac-12 schools have committed to non-conference games at SWAC schools as part of the Legacy Series. Tuesday will also mark the 3rd game Bronny James, the son of NBA legend LeBron James, has played since being medically clear after suffering cardiac arrest in offseason. The heightened attention of the game from the presence of national media only enhanced the Alabama State profile to a wider audience. We talked about it on here. We've had other of our BCS networks talk about it, but HBCU Game Day did a great job of putting it out there. HBCU Sports. So even your HBCU media sources, which are becoming bigger in terms of the footprint of marketing. So we need to make sure that we're using these platforms that have gained in the brand leverage with folks that are HBCU fans and outside of that, because now you can use these unique partnerships to brand events, a MEAC SWAC basketball challenge we had Commissioner Stills on during the weekend or so, and she talked about the fact that she could see that coming, and she liked the idea. Tuesday will also mark the third game Bronny James has said played. The heightened attention of the game from the presence of national media only enhanced the Alabama State profile to a wider audience. Quote, the city of Montgomery has really supported it and brought tickets, end quote, Jerome said. Quote, not only is there going to be a buzz inside the arena, but there are going to be thousands of even millions of people watching at home. That's something that John Grant always talked about. Making sure we move past just attendance at the game, but understanding the magnitude of what television does, streaming or over the air, and doing what's necessary to brand outside of that. It's a different feeling when you have a team like USC coming in and the house is going to be packed. Sometimes you have a feeling sometimes special is going on, something special is going to happen tonight. Again, as we transition to January where we get in conference play, whether it's Thanksgiving weekend, where a lot of folks like to have the fan with the family, but then they like to kind of go out. What about HBCUs creating events that are specialized outside of football, whether it's the Turkey Day Classic and Bayou Classic, about doing game events, or Christmas time is another time to take advantage of it, getting off the road, giving your team some home access before you do it. Norfolk State coming in with 8 wins, 5 Division I wins in terms of what's out there. Imagine bringing them in to Texas Southern for a matchup in Houston, or bringing them in to Jackson, a team with 4 Division I wins, including 2 in the Chris Paul Classic. Imagine them coming in there. Tennessee State playing Jackson State at home to rejuvenate that rival, which was once on the football field, moving it to the basketball side. What about some of these matchups? Jackson State on the women's side, in terms of what they're doing. Those 2 teams were top 25 in the mid-major versus Norfolk State women having a head-to-head matchup coming off of them teams.
Let me ask this question. What must be done, especially with regards to helping the HBCU fan transition from football season into basketball season a little earlier than January?
I think this is the perfect way to do it, because the natural inclination of fans are to have an understanding and the fervence for their team. And so you create a natural synergy, MEAC-SWAC matchup, or transition something that is a natural interest of fans. As I said, Tennessee State against Jackson State, that's a natural synergy for fans of those 2 bases to get with it. A South Carolina State, Jackson State type matchup. It's going to start and germinate slower than what you would think, but there's some things you can do to heighten and speeden up. But you do this Thanksgiving to kick off basketball, or you do it in Christmas to bookend that, and you do it right before you get into conference play. I think you can do a lot to leverage it to help pull fans in earlier. Because the thing is, right now, in a lot of ways, we're not necessarily pulling fans in to the midway point of basketball season, I believe. And a lot of that is because of the records of the team. This also would help with some of those in terms of the records, which means even if you back the interest off, not necessarily for these games, but at the beginning of the basketball season, you're still doing yourself a heck of a service in terms of what that looks like. So again, I just think this is an opportunity to think a little different, which a lot of our commissioners, ADs, are doing. And so this is another one that they can consider about how do you market your basketball programs even more than what they're trying to do already. So I hope that makes a little sense. Great question. I appreciate you getting in that great dialogue with me. But wanted to give some updates. Let other folks, let me know, our listeners, what they think about these basketball matchups, what they think about MEAC-SWAC records and the MEAC overall against HBCU Division I, getting those 5 wins and the SWAC getting 6 on the men's side. With that, we'll be back after this next break, and it's time to name a champion. We'll do the mid-major marching sport right after this in terms of what that looks like. Let's get into our next break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
I know, struggling.
Dr. Mills, inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Let's get into our poll rankings. As you know, mid-major division. No changes here, but we're going to unveil it officially here. Number 7, Albany State Golden Rams, the Marching Show Band, finished at 3-1, 100 points as they got it done. They had a great season as they continue to push forward. Let's get into number 6. At number 6, you have none other than the Virginia State Trojan Explosions, 4-1, 3-0. They finished the season. They did take that loss, if you would, and as I agree with what took place in the championship battle in this past weekend in Atlanta. So I agree with them. But they had a heck of a season, qualifying for it, finishing in the top 6 at number 6, Virginia State Trojan Explosion. At number 5, as we continue to move forward, Clark Atlanta, the mighty Marching Panthers Bands, 3-0 as they got it done. The Panthers band had a heck of a season, 2-0 in the conference race, finishing in Dr. Bill's mid-major marching sport poll rankings at number 5. Bringing us to number 4 in this mid-major poll rankings, the Langston Marching Pride, 3-0, 2-0, 132 points. They fared really well as they were looking at getting into the matching band of the year, HBCU band of the year, but kind of had some problems in the late, but they got it done here with their matchups as they finished undefeated in our marching sport as the Marching Pride does what it does, 132 points at number 4. Let's get into the top 3 in terms of the marching sport. At number 3, Benedict, Marching Tiger Band of Distinction, 4-0, had a heck of a season, much like the football team, so they rounded into shape to get it done, 151 points, bringing out the funk in so many ways. At number 2, in 2023, Winston-Salem State, Red Sea of Sam. I'm sure Stephen Gaither would be proud. Not that they didn't finish number 1, but they were at number 2, 5-1, 5-0. They were getting it done that last month. They finished at the top of the poll rankings, but it wasn't enough when they went into the room and they did the smoke out and said, who were the final 2? Winston-Salem State was not one of them, but they finished top 2 in Dr. Ville's poll at 162 points. At number 1, and claiming Dr. Ville's mid-major marching sport poll rankings is none other than Miles, Purple Marching Machine. Gets it done. A lot of matchups. They were out there traveling, both to not just Division II programs, not just into Battle of the Bands, but also in terms of FCS matchups. They got on the road. They got it done. 5-1, 4-0, 164. They had 5 first-place votes. They are the champions, Dr. Ville's mid-major marching sport HBCU champions in 2023. This is the inaugural year we've done for the mid-majors. So shout out to Miles. Historically, they'll be known as Dr. Ville's mid-major champion in 2023 inaugural season. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the mid-major poll ranking?
Shout out to Miles. You know, we put a huge emphasis on getting out, getting on the road, battling other bands. You know, we might not put as much emphasis on the technicality part of it, but if you get out there and you are engaging your crowd, you're engaging your football team, that matters to us. So you appreciate Miles for the battles that they had during the course of the season in the SIAC. And like you mentioned, even out of conference, the Miles band showed up and showed out.
Alabama State, they went
Alabama State, yeah. Went head to head with SWAT battle band. So, you know, you appreciate that. So kudos to Miles in terms of what they were to get done, and they are Dr. Cavil's national champion.
Yes, at the mid-major level. Shout out to Miles getting it done, my boy. I'm sure he's going to be excited once he hears the news. Some of the SIC fans out there. It'll be interesting to see. And as you said, I think it's important for folks that has followed us off and on, or will get this later, is we put a significant amount of our rankings based on matchups. When bands travel, whether they're on the road or hosting a band, you actually get to pick a winner and a loser of that matchup. That's how we have the win-loss record. And based on those win-losses and how much you are competitive is how you make our top 10. Shout out to Florida Memorial. They had a great season. They won the inaugural 2023 Band of the Year. Very good in terms of that sound. And I agree in terms of that matchup there that they certainly won it. But our particular band matchups talks about matchups, and a challenge for them, which I do recognize. They're in the bottom, as they say, in that part of the country. And so it is a little harder for them to travel. And there's not a lot of HBCU matchups that they have a chance to participate because they also are in the I program. I'm hearing some rumbling that they may be looking at Division II. And if that means a chance to get an SIC, obviously much more matchups are probably likely just from regionality. That will happen, maybe being able to get some of those matchups against SIA teams in Georgia. Obviously, they have their annual classic against Edward Waters, which is one they get to participate in. And I will say they won that one. With that being said, let's get into our next break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to give you the major division, and we'll see what that looks like. A lot of changes in there. We'll see if A&T finds a way up in there as they won the championship. We'll find out what the people's favorite is. I'm hearing out there, Jackson State, where they landed. We'll give you kudos to them and where they failed. They had a lot of matchups, so they certainly qualified for the major division marching sport 2023 for Dr. Bills. So we'll see what that looks like on the other side. So stick with us as we give you some more inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, right here.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody.
Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop. Let's get into the major division, as Charles likes to say in the SWAC, those battle bands. We'll see where they come into the fold in terms of our top 7. Starting right off, you have none other than Texas Southern, the Ocean of Soul. They finished 3-2, 2-3. They got in the mix. Just outside was Prairie View. They made a lace push, not only in the Battle Band of the Year awards. They finished there. They also made us push here as they got into that SWAC championship game, but they took a tough loss, close loss to FAMU. With that being said, Texas Southern Ocean of Soul finished at 3-2, 2-2. They got the win over Prairie View. That's probably pushed them into that top 7. 142 points, finished the season at 7. They are in the mix. At number 6, as we continue to see, you have Alabama State, the mighty marching Hornets continue to get it done. 4-2, 3-2, 145 points, 75 as they get it done all the time, moving in there. They have some crucial band matchups. FAMU, Jackson State, Alabama A&M, legendary matchups. This year they had a chance to battle Southern, the human jukebox, and they held their own. They get it done. They usually get an upset of the year. If they could pull one more, they'd be fighting for a championship without a doubt. But they are squarely in the top 7 every year since we've done the poll at the major division. This is our 3rd edition of this. Let's get into number 5 as the Magic continues to backslide. Mississippi Valley State. The Mean Green Marching Machine is back in the band business. 4-1, 1-1, 157 points. Previous ranked 4. They do fall a slot, but you're talking about a great season. This is the first season that they jumped in the top 5. They certainly first season that they finished in the top 7. So significant in terms of where the Mean Green Marching Machine is headed. Kudos for what they did, expanded the numbers in the band, and it showed. And they traveled. They got on the road. They got their natural matchups that they have against Jackson State, Marquette State, but they had a couple of more. Obviously, those battles in Circle City, those classics helped to give them an edge, but they held their own and got it done. They're at number 5. Let's get into number 4 to see who jumps in there since they fall. Who is number 4? Florida A&M, the Marching 100, 5-1, 2-1, late push. All those matchups they had in terms of bonus games, if you would, getting into the SWAC championship game helped them with matchups. Finishing at 3-1, actually 4-1 because they got the win over Howard in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. So another bonus matchup because they were a late flurry in terms of what they were able to do, get in their top 7. They were outside of this for much of the year, and much of that was just because they didn't have the matchups. But when your football team plays well and qualifies for championship game, the fans gonna show up.
You get the exposure
in the cricket celebration. You get that extra exposure. You get those extra matchups. You qualify, and look at this. You show up, you show out, and you jump in the top 4. As you saw them increase over the last 3 weeks, itching their way up. They moved all the way from 6 to finish the season at number 4. Bringing us to number 3, these Magic marching programs up here. This is where it gets good. The top 3. Southern, the human jukebox, finishes at 3, 6-2, 4-2. They kept a couple of losses. They had a down year a lot of ways in terms of their estimation, but they still got it done. They did have a Bayou Classic victory, which was solid, 188 points, but they had some major upsets, including tough losses at home against programs that got it done. So we'll see if they kind of bounce back next year. I know they were frustrated in a lot of ways in terms of the band of the year. Didn't necessarily go their way. They had some questions about that. But on our side, it was simply about matchups and who took the wins and losses. I know there are huge human jukebox fans out there. They were concerned because, remember, they were ranked low because they didn't have a lot of matchups. You didn't have the FAMU matchup. That hurt them. Wasn't their fault. But they had that Prairie View matchup. They had the Bayou Classic matchup late. So they got going, and they jump up to number 3, previous ranked 6 in terms of the matchup as they continue to get it done. Big time victor end of the season. Top 3, not quite where they like to be. Remember, first year, they won it all. And they've been lagging ever since then. Bringing us to number 2. Who is number 2 on the list? Jackson State, which was our 2022 victory of Dr. Ville's major division marching sport. The Sonic Boom of South, Charles told you that this is one of the best years he's seen for them. They finished strong, 6-1, 5-0. Qualifying, I actually had them winning. So they jumped to 71 over North Carolina A&T. Obviously, the way that I look at it is different than those voting. And so not a lot of accolades there, but I did have them winning that matchup. But they finished at number 2, stay at number 2 with 3 first-place votes. So number 1, holding on to it, getting it done. None other than Norfolk State, the Spartan Legions, who finished undefeated on the season, 7-0, 3-0, a lot of victories, 7 first-place votes, 206. They had the one matchup early in the season where they had an HBCU team. They had the matchup against Tennessee State, on the road, homecoming, which was solid victory. So they had some big wins. Credit to the MEAC. They had a lot more conference matchups where the band got on the road. Remember, we've been talking about that, Charles, for the MEAC. They don't often, and people talk about that in terms of SWAC being, in there and making sure they get their matchups. MEAC did a lot more, and it certainly helped Norfolk State because they got it done. So they finished number 1, 2023. So in 2021, it was Southern Human Jukebox. 2022, it was Jackson State, Sonic Boom of the South, and the Legion gets it done in 2023 for the marching sport. The first time somebody outside of the SWAC, somebody outside of the vulnerable, top 3, 4, if you would, gets it done, and it is a Spartan Legion. No, they did not qualify for the Band of the Year. That's not my fault. They had the matchups. You've seen 7 of them. They went undefeated. A&T didn't have all those matchups. They got to figure something else out. Or maybe they just like what they're doing. They'll show out. They'll play the music and get it done, and they'll take the check with the Band of the Year, and they'll be like, thank you, no thanks to Dr. Cavil. matchup. It is what it is. I feel it. It is. But Charles, it's your time.
You set my phone. You set my phone a buzzing. With Norfolk State winning the Band of the Year, Dr. Cavil's national championship. I will say, tremendous band, Norfolk State. I've enjoyed watching them this past season. This Boom version this year, this was a dominant Sonic Boom of the South in terms of matchups. We talk about battle bands getting on the road. We talk about even a battle of the bands away from the game with Southern.
Yeah, independent.
Independent. Very dominant. 5th quarter, 0 quarters. This is going to be one of those Sonic Boom that they're going to have a point to prove next year, because I think this was a fun year watching them this past year, just in what they were able to do from a musicality standpoint. And I've said this, it styles make fights, and the Sonic Boom style fits the criteria, I think, for what we're looking for with regards to the head-to-head competition. A lot of the bands that we see in the SWAC, we want to see that head-to-head competition, not just on the field, but also, a lot of the critiquing comes from the 0 and 5th quarter. And this is where these bands really stand out. And this is where the Sonic Boom really stands out for me this past year. They had 2 or 3 selections that I was literally in awe of them with regards to what they were able to play. So to the victor go to spoils, Norfolk State, Spartan Legion.
Man, I would have loved to see a Spartan Legion against the Sonic Boom of the South matchup. That would have settled it on the field if you would have got that. But to start off things next year, think about this: MEAC SWAC Challenge, Norfolk State versus FAMU. So
that's a good one. Gotta see that one.
I thought that would catch you.
Yeah,
pause you a little bit. Give me some early thoughts, Charles, in terms of that particular matchup, the uniqueness of it, and how you like to talk about not just the musicality. Styles make fights. That's an old MEAC matchup. Now it comes back in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. FAMU obviously closed things down, made a run at it, top 4. That's a top 4 matchup for us in terms of the final poll rankings, as we do. So that's going to be fascinating on that side. Both programs felt like they were left out of the Band of the Year. You saw what FAMU did in terms of their halftime show. They actually had the Spider-Man out there talking about, give me my damn trophy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were, I couldn't tell if they were talking about the Celebration Bowl trophy or were they talking about the Band of the Year trophy. And I think purposely they kind of left it ambiguous so people could think which one they wanted to. I think they did a lot of that on purpose to that.
Sure.
You great artists do that at times to kind of allow you to be the person that decides how you want to interpret what they were trying to say.
And let me say this, and this is what I noticed at the Celebration Bowl. I'm big on the band being the 12th man for the football team, and it's fan engagement. And I was able to see that this past SWAC championship, as well as the Celebration Bowl with a 100, engage their fan base when that momentum started shifting into FAMU's to their sideline. And it enhances the experience in terms of the synergy between the fans, the bands, and the football team. You can feel that. That is a palpable something that happens. And, everybody picks up energy. And you saw what kind of happened because, the football team kind of picked it up on the field. But there is something to that. I love to see that synergy between fan base, the band, and how it shifts to kind of get the football team up and going.
So you have some of your natural matchups next year coming into it. Obviously, you have Labor Day Classics, which feature Virginia State that was in the finals for the Band of the Year, and they'll go up to Norfolk State, our 2023 champions, the marching sport. You also have your Labor Day Classic with Texas Southern and Prairie View matchup. This was the first one I've had Texas Southern winning in a couple of years, so you got that rematch. I also had Grambling beating Prairie View in the State Fair Classic, so that's going to be interesting to see that rematch as Grambling continue to push forward. Obviously, the Bayou Classic, Magic City Classic, Florida Classic. You have some folks coming back. Then you have, I was just going to say, the Boombox, the natural one that's coming there with Southern and Jackson. That's always there. And then you have the in-state battle in Mississippi, Alcorn State, when you talk about those matchups. I want to ask you about this one in particular, though. This year is my understanding that you have Jackson State and FAMU that will not be in the Miami. That'll be a home game, right? It'll be in Jackson, my understanding. It'll be probably later in the year is what I'm hearing. It won't be early September, maybe not even October. It might be pushed to November. What are you talking about? A late October, early November matchup between the Marching 100 and Sonic Boom of the South in Jackson, Mississippi.
When you talk about the success of the football teams over the past 3 years, and you talk about both of these bands are brand names, and you start to get that later on in the football season, that could be magical. And it's what drives fan interest, the anticipation of these brands getting to not just football, but the bands as well. That has the potential to be special.
You also have FAMU and Alabama State. That's been a magical game on the field. It's been a magical game between the 0 quarter, the 5th quarter, and halftime between that matchup. That's another one to keep your eyes on, which both fans travel to. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see FAMU and Southern. Will Southern take on the road and go to FAMU? This year, FAMU didn't go to them, but that kind of started the iteration over. Are they going to take it on the chin and not go? Or are they going to go down there and see what that looks like to get that return? Because the previous year, Southern did not go down there.
Right.
They had a prior engagement. Do they start it back up?
Yeah, they got to move beyond the pettiness and then make sure that they get these matchups because people want to see them.
Yeah, perfectly said. I'll leave it right there and park it. Great point. People want to see it. Give the people what they want. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I hope you enjoyed what we continue to do as we close out the football season officially. We will give you some thoughts as we do our our New Year's Day show, kind of close out the year and look at what were the big moments. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll go back some, go to the spring sports as we start to turn the clock and get ready on our winter sports and then get into the spring sports. It's going to be fascinating to see what it talks about. We kicked it off, if you would, gave you a slam dunk, gave you some basketball talk to think about, gave you a little bit of even baseball to get you prepared and ready for that. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Lil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. We've closed out the chapter on Sunday as we close the football season. We'll see if we sneak one in for the end of the year, maybe just a little magic. We'll let you know what that looks like. If the fans want it, we'll see if we can give it to you. Let us know in the section below. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, DrKenyattacavil. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. DrKenyattacavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big. Continue to move forward. want to shout out to all the lab listeners. Appreciate all your support, what you do for us. Great job. Hope you're going to enjoy your holiday break. Certainly have a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa for all those out there. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Roy?
Lecture.
Dismiss.